I am over this marriage if my husband cannot stand up to his family. My husband and I, both in our 30s, generally have a good relationship until it comes to his side of the family forcing him to do things. Backstory: my husband moved to my country when we got married few years ago. He has his own house in his home country which we had to keep because he has a child that he usually went to see every 2 weeks. Before moving, his mother asked to live in his house and pay him part rent, which goes towards covering the mortgage, and he can pay the rest. This was a good option, which means he can still stay at his house every 2 weeks instead of having to rent an Airbnb or hotel. Then the mother starting saying she wants to buy part of the house off him, which I explain was not a good decision as she wanted to give him $150K for his house to live there permanently and have a contract in place, and when she passes he will have to split that $150K between him and 2 siblings. Of course his entire family pushed him for this, however since we have combined finances I told him this is not a great idea as he will be losing out on money. If he rented the same property for $1,000 per month, he would have made the $50K he would get in less than 5 years, and he would not be required to sell the property or remortgage to give $100K to his siblings. Eventually he said to his mother that he will not be selling part to her but she can continue paying rent. Market rent is over $1,000 in the area and she was paying $450, which then went down to $200. During this time his child, who is growing up, does not want to see him often as they have plans with friends etc., and seeing him during the weekend won't work, and they were stressing each time he was going and having a meltdown by not going to school. So he reduced the time he was going to visit. His mother, who had her own house on the market, took it off as it not selling and decided to renovate and move back into her house. A month before she left and was still living in the house, she took all the bills off her name and while still using all the utilities. Again he didn't say anything to them. He avoids conflicts and would rather shoot at me when I am standing up for him to his family than actually telling them they are wrong, even when he tells me they are wrong but he won't tell them. On to the recent story. The mother finally moves out and we decide to rent the house to cover the mortgage, and he can rent an Airbnb or hotel anytime he comes visit. While we are negotiating with the agent, we are informed by my husband's ex that she has been served notice to move out in 6 months. Before she even tries to find a property, her and my husband's family insist that he rents the house to her at a cheaper rate. It was very hard on us, but because of his child we agreed. Once we agreed, the ex started manipulating my husband for everything, such as she cannot move in for another 2 months and we have to keep paying the mortgage. Over half of my husband's salary gets sent to that country to pay for mortgage, bills, and child maintenance, and I have to pay more for us in this country. Now 2 weeks before she is meant to move in, we are told she found somewhere else. We had to spend so much money before we could even rent to her, as the country the house is in requires the landlord to register and have a license. We are back to the start again on the house. I have taken lead and advertised the house and schedule viewings for when we will be in the country. I did the license course and application for him. We will be going for 3 days to sort the house, and I have planned what to be done when, as we have a lot items to be removed. My husband's sibling decided to give his ex all her furniture that she previously gave to my husband. Again, no problem on my side. I only asked for the furniture to be moved by 10 a.m. on the second day we are there, as I have cleaners coming in, and this turned so nasty that my husband has not been speaking to me for 2 days because he won't stand up to them and say get this thing done. We have been constantly paying for the mortgage and bills and all things. He texted his ex to ask her to remove the furniture, and she went off on him that he will have to pay another one of her exes to move the furniture to her new place and will have to help as well. There is only 2 of us going and we have to clear and clean the house in 3 days, which is not possible for us, and we should not be the one paying her ex to move furniture that was donated to her. He couldn't handle replaying to her, and I told him I will deal with the messages as he was getting frustrated. She would still not understand, after which I told him I will text his sister from his phone to remove her furniture as his ex is acting too entitled. My texts are direct and I am not going to sugarcoat things, whereas he will just say yes to avoid dealing with people, so they don't like dealing with me and try to ambush him all the times to say yes to everything. So the sister was pissed off I was the one texting from his phone and trying to guilt him into leaving the furniture in the house for another few weeks. I have no idea what to do anymore. I am done with him being such a pushover and saying yes to them constantly. He is pissed off with me because I stood up to them and said no. We are paying for a cleaning company to come and clean. The house is dusty, especially under some furnitures which has never been moved to clean under or behind. It's very obvious his family prefers his ex, and every time they want something ridiculous, I have to agree with them. It's their way or no way. At this stage I am fed up and very close to tell him to go back to them just so that I can have some peace in my life.